This is for 2019 Tahoe. After you've taken the wheels off and lifted the vehicle, find the 3 bolts that are holding the struts to the shock tower. They are 18 millimeters, 37 foot-pound torqued. So remove, this is the driver's side. So remove those 3. Don't remove the rusty one in the middle. That's the bolt for the shock and the strut assembly. So do not remove that one. Just remove the 3 18 millimeters. Then I'm going to move to the other side and do the passenger side. The one bolt that's underneath the wiring and underneath the tubing there, that one you can use a swivel head to get access to it. I actually took that out before I did this video. So same thing as on this side. Remove the 3 bolts. They're 18 millimeter, 37 foot-pound torqued. And don't remove the rusty one in the middle or the one in the center. It may not be rusty in your vehicle. Okay, when you have those out, now you can loosen the bolts that are holding the strut to the lower control arm. Those, as far as I understand, are also 37 foot-pound and 15 millimeter. There's 2 of them. And those are pierced threaded into the clip, so you don't need to back it up. And they're removed from underneath. So once you have those loose, if you push the strut out of the way right now, it's going to fall on the floor. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you how to get the strut out of this situation, of it being loosened without dropping it on the floor. There's a couple different ways of doing it. So now the bolts are out. One is out. Now the second one, I'll get the second one out. Now if you put a jack underneath it, and when you push it out, and it's supported by the jack, now you can just lower it out with the jack. That's one way, but you might have to have an extra jack or use your jack with jack stands, which you should be using jack stands anyways. And then you lift it out through the top. So this is the driver's side. Now there's another way you can do this also. If you don't have a jack, you can tie the jack or tie the strut with a rope. And when you pry it out, when it breaks free, it won't fall on the floor. It'll be supported by the rope. And now I'm going to show how when you lift it out of there, you just simply lift it up and you lift it out. It comes out straight forwards without any issues. Okay? Now, in this situation, I'm replacing the shock alone, so I'm going to rebuild this strut assembly. I'm going to keep the old spring. I like the old springs are tuned for the vehicle. for the damping response. So I use 4 of these. And so basically what you're doing with this is every time you tighten it down, the load is going off the shock and onto the compression tool, spring compression tool. That's why you want a pretty decent spring compression tool. So now you have to loosen the nut on the top. So I use a vice grips and support it off the table. Now to get that loose. Now once that's loose, all the load is carried by the tool, the spring compression tool. Don't loosen this bolt on the top until that spring compression tool, until you can see that they're bearing the load, that there's a little bit of movement where the spring is contacting the top supports up there, that there's a little bit of a gap, because once you start loosening it, the spring is going to go until something stops it, and you want the tool to be what stops it. So I'm going to continue loosening that till that comes off. So I'm feeling around there to make sure there's no compression on this. I was feeling that bracket on the top. If you feel it's still tight, do not take it off. You want it to be loose and movable, that little ring up there. Now you can slide this out, the shock. And I will tell you, if you order that bumper right now, the part number, it will not fit. So you're going to have to use the one that's there. That's for the yellow bumper there. So I want to save some of the parts, so I'm going to pull this plastic sleeve off from there. It's still in pretty good condition. So I'm just simply prying it off to reuse it, and I'll clean everything up. And I simply use a trash can so a bunch of stuff doesn't fall over everything. So I've almost got it off. So that's the piece I want to save. So I'm going to discard the shock. Now I'm reassembling the parts into the spring. Oh, I guess that was taken out. So now I'm reassembling it. You have to make sure those holes line up with the heads of those bolts. When you turn this, you'll see there's some holes in the plastic bracket. You'll see it drop there, it drops in. You have to make sure, I would mark this shock, or I would mark the position of everything before you start disassembling it, so you know how it comes back together as far as the orientation. There's a little notch in the top that has to be inboard on the vehicle. And you want the 2 bottom and the 3 top bolts to line up on the hole, so the way to get that is you have to make sure it's marked. Or I can tell you, if you have that notch facing exactly down, then the 2 bolts have to be perpendicular to or parallel to the table, or parallel to the table. So I'm going to tighten the top bolt for the strut. There isn't a torque spec for this, as far as I understand. That the once you let this go, the spring will generate the compression on the bolt. So I don't. Okay. So this one, I'm loosening the spring compression tool, and there may be a torque spec on the top bolt. I couldn't see one. I just tightened it till it was snug. There probably is some kind of torque spec at the factory on the top bolt. So then when I loosen the spring compression tool, all the load will be on that one bolt and nut on the top and off the spring compression tool. So assembly is the reverse is as disassembly. If you don't have perfect alignment, which you most likely won't, you can use a pry bar and you can turn the bottom two bolts into towards the holes and get good alignment. And torque everything to spec, which was 37 foot-pounds for both top and bottom, all 5 bolts.